Good to have you with us on this Sunday evening. I'm Daniel Che here with the news updates. Every second counts for candidates involved in the July 30th by-elections here in Korea. They're out there right now along with their devoted and driven campaigners. Candidates are armed with loudspeakers, sashes, name tags, and their spouse's presence and vote of confidence. Ruling Saenuri Party Chairman Kim Moo-sung and fellow party officials are busy attending campaign events to shore up support for conservative candidates. The main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy is focused on strategies to win seats once held by Saenuri Party lawmakers. In addition to supporting their candidates' campaigns, the parties are also intensifying its attacks against rival party and candidates. The to and fro mudslinging include accusations of plagiarism, hidden deals, arrogance, self-righteousness, and, of course, more. The NPAD is considered to be at a disadvantage in the coming elections, with none of its candidates having a clear lead over their rivals outside the Jeolla provinces. Moving on to other stories, Korea's new finance ministry is expected to provide a stronger direction for the Korean economy. He made some new proposals over the weekend that are raising hopes for an economic revival. Our Kim Ji-yeon tells us more.
The Korean economy is starting to look more lively after promises made by its new finance minister, Choi Kyung-han. His emphasis on deregulation has once again raised hopes of jump-starting the economy. To boost the property market, Choi is also the deputy prime minister for the economy, has been promising to ease regulations for home buyers after the government cut taxes for people who own multiple homes. The government has already eased the debt-to-income ratio and loan-to-value ratio, both of which limit the amount that prospective buyers can borrow from banks based on various economic indicators, including income. To boost investment, the new finance minister proposed tax breaks for small and mid-sized companies, or SMEs, using an accounting method called accelerated depreciation. It involves depreciating an asset at a faster rate early on in that asset's life. This is done to help reduce a company's taxable income in the early stages of an asset's life, when the asset is still useful, by deferring the tax to later years. Choi also said he would work to remodel industrial complexes to encourage more young employees to work for the SMEs therein. He said he would work with related ministries to restore worn-out facilities and improve life for residents there. Kim Ji-yeon, ARIRANG News.
North Korea's participation in the upcoming Asian Games will help improve inter-Korean relations. At least that's what North Korean leader Kim Jong-un believes. The North state-run Korean Central News Agency said Sunday the young leader made the remarks while watching a match with the men's national football team, which will participate in the games, that is. The young leader added the sports should not be used for political purposes, a remark presumably aimed at the break-off of working-level talks between the two Koreas on Pyongyang's dispatch of a delegation to the upcoming event. Kim Yang-gun, a senior secretary who deals with inter-Korean affairs, was also spotted at the match alongside Kim Jong-un, the first time in 100 days that he's been seen in public. South Korea's defense minister Han Min-gu warned North Korea that the South will retaliate against any future provocations without any reservations. In a televised interview on Sunday, Han said the South Korean military will launch an immediate counterattack to any North Korean provocations, targeting not only to the source of the provocation, but also commanders and supporting forces. He also said that Pyongyang's recent missile launches are aimed at creating internal strife in South Korea to change Seoul's North Korea policy. Meanwhile, Han and his U.S. counterpart, Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel, held their first phone conversation on Saturday, in which they discussed their bilateral alliance. Han and Hagel will dig deeper into this topic this October during a scheduled round of annual talks in Washington. Korea and China have reached consensus on establishing a military hotline following discussions last year between the defense chiefs of the two nations. A Seoul government source who declined to be named told Seoul-based Yonhap News that the goal is to set up the hotline within the year. A final decision on the specific timeline is likely to be announced after their fourth strategic defense dialogue, which gets underway in China this Tuesday. The dialogue will be led by Korean Vice Defense Minister Baek Seung-ju and China's Deputy Chief of General Staff of the Chinese People's Liberation Army, Wang Guanzong. If established, China will become the second country after the U.S. with which Korea has a hotline between defense chiefs. And now on to the latest news about the Malaysia Airlines crash. International monitors have gained better access to the crash site in rebel-controlled eastern Ukraine. However, some areas are still off limits. While negotiations between Kiev and pro-Russian rebels to set up a security zone around the site have so far failed, the Ukrainian intelligence chief says Russian crews operated the missiles that shot down the airliner. Our Park Ji-won tells us more.
Talks between Kiev and the rebels in control of the crash site have so far failed to establish a buffer zone around the crash site in East Ukraine, but efforts are being made to expand access. The UN Security Council is considering a resolution demanding that the armed militants controlling the region allow access to the site, and the Ukrainian government is negotiating with separatists. Teams of international investigators and monitors working in the region now say access has improved overall since their arrival on Friday evening. However, they say they have still been denied access to certain areas by hundreds of armed pro-Russian militants who control the area. Adding to the tension in the region, Ukraine now says the team that operated the missile system that shot down the plane was Russian, and that the missile launcher also came from Russia.
Rebels cannot operate the very sophisticated and high-technique missile launch Book M1. To operate Book M1, you need to have education, military education, and to be well-trained. We know for sure that the team was Russian. There were Russian citizens operating Book M1.
Meanwhile, Malaysia Airlines has released a full list of the 298 passengers from 11 countries who are aboard the plane, including nearly 200 from the Netherlands, 43 Malaysians, and 27 Australians. At least 6 of the passengers were renowned AIDS scholars heading to Melbourne to attend the 20th International AIDS Conference, set to begin this Sunday. Korean President Park Geun-hye has sent her condolences to Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak and Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte, expressing her sadness over the painful loss and offering her condolences to the relatives of those lost in the crash. Park Ji-won, ARIRANG News.
A group of U.S. senators has sent a letter to Shinzo Abe urging Tokyo to address history-related matters. 4 members of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, including its chairman, Robert Mendez, said in the letter that during his latest visit to Australia, Abe vowed he would never allow the horrors that transpired during the past century to recur. The senators also reiterated their support for Abe's pursuit of the right to come to the aid of an ally in battle. Coverage of the story by Japan's Kyodo News Agency appeared to contain an important omission, however. It only mentions the senator's support for Abe's military upgrade, but omits the part about Japan's need to address history. It's the heaviest shelling in Gaza since the Israel-Hamas conflict began 13 days ago. The death toll continues to rise, with the number of Palestinians killed now at more than 350, most of them civilians. As heavy air and naval barrages failed to stop rocket fire from Gaza, the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, sent troops into Gaza on Thursday. And on Saturday, the IDF began focusing on ground attack after 2 Israeli soldiers were killed during a gunfight with Palestinian militants who had used tunnels to cross into Israel to launch an attack. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is due to arrive in Qatar to meet with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in a bid to get both sides to agree to a ceasefire. Local researchers have designed a device that can detect super high energy cosmic rays. This invention could help raise Korea's global status in the space industry. Our Paul Yi explains.
This 1 square meter particle detector, made up of 2,500 semiconductor wafers piled up in 4 layers, is what's called a cosmic ray detector. Local university researchers came up with the idea for the design and have since developed it using domestic technology. It's expected to measure the charged constitution of cosmic rays with unprecedented accuracy.
Cosmic rays that arrive on Earth can be made up of any kind of atomic nucleus, be it of hydrogen, oxygen, carbon. Our detector will sort the elements with 99% accuracy.
The cosmic rays that contain super high energy cannot be produced on Earth and were first discovered in 1912. They are presumed to come from supernova explosions within the Milky Way galaxy, but they remain a mystery by and large.
How these particles achieve these so high energies, in other words, how do cosmic accelerators work, is the main question, one of the big mysteries in astrophysics, and that's what we are trying to understand.
The cosmic ray detector has now been transferred to NASA for a final checkup before it is sent to the International Space Station for 3 years to analyze elements of the rays. It will represent the first locally developed instrument to be installed on the ISS, and Korea hopes that raises its global status in the space industry. Paul Yi, ARIRANG News.
Now the weather, with the mercury well above 30, it was another hot and humid weekend for most of us here in Korea, and similar conditions are expected on Monday. Now let's take a look at the weather conditions elsewhere around the globe. And that does it for me, but I'll be back with more updates at 10 p.m. Korea time. Do join us then. Thank you for watching.